Hello everybody and welcome back to the channel. We've got a little something different for you today. We're gonna take a little dive back into music history. The year was 1987 and the Cold War between the United States and the Soviet Union was just thinking about starting to thaw. Now up to this point, Western culture was largely banned in the United Soviet Socialist Republic, especially rock and roll music. But the people of Russia were clamoring for American exports in rock and roll. It got to the point where bootleggers were fishing in hospital dumpsters for discarded X-ray emulsion sheets so that they could print bootleg records. That's the kind of dedication to lo-fi that today's hipsters could only ever dream of. If you could only pick one artist to send to the USSR to bridge the cultural gap between the Americans and the Russians, who do you choose? You had acts like James Taylor and the Doobie Brothers coming over to do more intimate performances, but the Russians had never experienced a full-blown arena rock concert. And the one man who could give that to them in those trying times was none other than Long Island's own Billy Joel.
Okay, let's go.
So if you know anything about Billy Joel, you know that he's a workmanlike performer and a total perfectionist who strives to create an intimate experience at his shows. In fact, he once said that performing for him was like sex. If it's too quiet, you're not doing it right. The first night that Billy Joel performed in Moscow, he was not that impressed with the audience because it was a lot of Communist Party affiliates who got comps, who stood in the front and just didn't move. He described them as like an oil painting, and that was very frustrating for him. So the second night, when none of the muckety-mucks were there, it was just the young people who wanted to enjoy the music. And that's when Billy Joel started to get the connection that he really wanted. So his documentary crew that was there to film this momentous visit, they decided they were going to try to get as much footage of these people in the audience as possible. And therein lies the problem. These poor people were so used to life under communist rule when this kind of music was seen as incendiary. They were all worried about lurking KGB agents and a possible crackdown if they were seen having too much fun. So every time the lights hit these people, they froze. And that started to frustrate poor sweet Billy Joel. And here's where I submit for your approval and enjoyment the footage in question of the night Billy Joel melted down in Moscow.
I'm gonna take control, get a hold of my emotion. Stop fighting the audience. Why does it always seem to hit me in the middle of the night? Stop it! Told me there's a number I can always dial. Let me do my show, for Christ's sake! It's not real good. Sometimes a fantasy. It's all you need.
Oh no, Billy! Oh. It's just like, there's so many moving parts to that video. It's just, you just watch him get progressively angrier. A pop for that just, let me do my show for Christ's sake! You've got to feel bad for the guy. I mean, that sucks. If you're just there, like, they're trying to do a very pure thing, right? Which is try to thaw cultural relations between these two countries. And he'd been touring for like 11 months up to that point. His voice was shot. He was just not, Billy was not in a good place. So I don't mean to mock his misery, but we're far enough down the line. He's however many years and Grammy Awards removed from this situation. I think we can get a little enjoyment out of it. It's just the little stuff like, God bless his band. They just keep going. He flips that Yamaha and there's shrapnel flying and they're still back. The guitar player, they're just back to back, just playing, still grooving. No idea what's going on behind them. That's professionalism. It definitely looked like he did a missile drop kick to one of the guys that was standing near him. And then when he swings that mic stand, the bottom of that is solid. If that thing catches you on the chin, it is gonna knock you colder than a banker's heart. And he just winds up and bashes the stage in with the thing. But the guy doesn't miss a beat. He does the whole song. He just keeps going. It's my greatest entertainment value in 2021, and the people in 1987 loved it. they were like, wow, if this is, I get why Americans like rock and roll, if this is what happens all the time. It's so entertaining. It was too entertaining for me to not share. So thank you for looking at a piece of pop culture ephemera with me. It brings me an inordinate amount of joy, and I hope it did to you as well. And if you know of anything else like this, you go ahead and send it my way. You can get in touch with us at Out on That Line on Instagram, at Out on That Line 1 on Twitter, and of course, outonthatline@gmail.com, or you can drop something in the comments. We read those religiously to see what you guys are up to. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.